Districts in Georgia and throughout the country are dealing with a teacher shortage.
So many issues, including pay and school violence, are driving some educators out. The Georgia Department of Education says there were 510 reports of violence against a teacher last school year. We spoke with a group of teachers to get their perspective on the challenges they're facing.
There's a reason why there's a shortage.
There you go.
There's a reason why there's a shortage.
It's not for the faint at heart. Yeah.
Because you can't just rely on the generosity of people, no matter how much they love young people and teaching young people and helping to socialize them to this society. They have to be supported. And clearly, as a society, we are not doing something right by our educators, because many of them are choosing not to stick around. And fewer people are choosing to enter the profession.
Lisa, what do you see as the detraction then from teaching nowadays?
The Department of Education in 2022 released a teacher burnout report talking about the factors that are leading to the teacher shortage. Mental health for educators and students, the lack of a voice, the lack of time to plan to teach, the lack of support and resources. I hear from educators more concerns about student discipline and violence, students fighting, and those kind of things happening in our school that make other students and educators not feel as safe.
What are we doing right when it comes to school safety, and what still needs to happen?
Well, I could start off with DeKalb County. You see this little thing right here? It's SunEdX. It's a new system that we're using in DeKalb County. Basically, it's a GPS tracking device as well as an alert system. And we're trained on how many times to press it for something that's an emergency.
So we also had that device in my school district. We introduced it last winter, spring. And the thing that's good about it is it knows who's sending out the alert and your exact location.
What I would like to see more of is teachers at the table in making the decisions of how the resources are allocated. Because I think what needs to be addressed is the mental health of young people.
Dealing with the mental health issues and the student behavior issues is not a quick and easy fix. And all across the state, we need more social workers, more school counselors, more mental health professionals in our schools.
I think the schools are a reflection of what's happening in our society, and I think in many ways, unfortunately, we don't talk enough about it. At the end of the day, I don't know how else to describe it. I'm living in a toxic culture. I don't know how else to describe a society that allows the level of violence to take place.
So much of what we cover, just in terms of like crime with the youth, it's that skill of being able to find that common ground, right? Yeah. To be able to talk things out instead of pulling punches or guns or, you know, whatever else people do.
We have to actively, intentionally teach problem solving, coping skills, reasoning skills, communication skills. We can't just think our kids are going to get it.
I've had children that were a bit irate in the beginning as they're getting to know me, you know, because they don't know who I am. And when you teach them that they can trust you and that you care about them and that you're there for them, that's when that relationship changes. The conversation changes, the behaviors change.
I think more needs to be talked about what's happening in our communities that is coming into the schools and what we can do to support families and the larger community. Because it's not just the schools. We can't expect the schools to protect the children.
To do it all, right?
We can't do it all. And we're not resourced in the way we should either.
Yeah, it's such a gargantuan ask what teachers already have on their plate, and then you throw in mental health and all the other issues the kids are dealing with, social media, you know, and all the pressures there, peer pressures, it's a lot, and you have to save them from it. I mean, that's...
It goes back to like housing insecurity, food insecurity. You know, if they're in unsafe environments outside of school, all of that comes in and has an impact on what happens in school.
Right. What do our parents need to do? What does the community need to do to support you all at the schools?
I think we need to work together. And over the last year or so, that's one of the things that we have seen happening across the country and here in Georgia as well, that the relationship between educators, between teachers and parents, that there are those who are trying to drive a wedge between that relationship and make it adversarial, rather than the partnership
It has to.
that it has to be, because teachers and parents, all educators and parents, have one goal, and that is the success of each and every one of our students.
In many ways, the same things that make it safer for teachers make it safer for students. If we have more of these supports, if we have smaller class sizes. I teach in high school. Some of my students have been a lot larger than me. And I've had some who I could tell were getting angry with me. They're at the age where, in many ways, they haven't developed necessarily the ability to control their emotions. And being able to read the body language.
So we just have to be cautious and care enough. And I think that's where it starts, just caring.
So the one word, you're hopeful for the new school year?
I'm hopeful, yes.
Yes. Patricia?
The possibilities.
Oh, yes. Endless, right? We hope. Lisa?
I'm always excited.
Excited.
Yeah.
Sonia?
Determined.
You have to be.
Yes.
Fears about school shootings and fights on campus.
When a student doesn't feel safe, it could trigger what I would call a trauma response.
We're exploring the impact of violence on students' mental health and how parents can help their children feel safe. That's when Schools Safety Conversations continues.